In 1901, this man sold his company for $480 million and became the richest person alive. Then he shocked America by giving almost all of it away. This is the incredible story of how a poor Scottish boy built the world's largest steel empire, and why he chose to die broke. Meet Andrew Carnegie, the immigrant who arrived in America with nothing, worked 12-hour days in a cotton mill, and built an empire that literally shaped modern America. Every bridge, every skyscraper, every railroad track, they were all made with his steel. But here's what nobody expected. The man who out-earned Rockefeller would spend his final 18 years giving away $350 million. His reason why will change how you think about wealth forever. This is the story of the Steel King who chose to die with just enough money for a simple funeral. From Scotland's poorest neighborhoods to America's richest man, to history's greatest philanthropist. Born in 1835 in Dunfermline, Scotland, Andrew Carnegie knew poverty from his first breath. His father was a hand-loom weaver whose livelihood was destroyed by the Industrial Revolution. The family lived in a single room, sharing space with another family just to afford rent. While wealthy children played with expensive toys, young Andrew watched his mother take in washing to earn extra pennies. The smell of other people's dirty clothes filled their cramped home. His father, once proud and skilled, grew bitter as machines replaced his craft. This wasn't just poverty. This was the complete destruction of a way of life. When Andrew was 13, his mother made a desperate decision that would change history. She sold everything they owned to buy passage to America. The family sailed across the Atlantic with less than $20 and a dream that hard work could transform their lives. They had no connections, no guarantees, no safety net, just hope. The Carnegies arrived in Pittsburgh in 1848, settling in a neighborhood called Slabtown, a place so poor it didn't even have proper streets. Andrew's first job was in a cotton mill, working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week for $1.20. The heat was suffocating, the noise deafening, the work mind-numbing. While other boys his age played after work, Andrew studied. While they slept, he read books by candlelight, ruining his eyesight but expanding his mind. He understood something that would eventually make him the richest man in America. Knowledge was the ultimate investment. Every book was a ladder rung towards something better. But Andrew's break came from an unexpected source. At 14, he became a messenger boy for the telegraph office. This job taught him something crucial about America. Information was power, and whoever controlled communication controlled opportunity. He memorized the faces of Pittsburgh's businessmen and learned to read the city's economic pulse. At 17, Carnegie became a telegraph operator for the Pennsylvania Railroad. This job changed everything. He watched massive freight trains carry raw materials across America and realized the future belonged to whoever controlled the infrastructure. Iron bridges were failing under heavy loads, wooden structures were burning down, and America desperately needed something stronger. Steel wasn't just metal. It was the backbone of civilization. Carnegie saw this before almost anyone else. He watched engineers struggle with inferior materials and knew that whoever solved this problem would become incredibly wealthy. The question wasn't if America would need better steel. It was who would provide it. By age 24, Carnegie was the railroad's youngest superintendent ever. He earned $3,500 per year, more than most doctors and lawyers. But he had a much bigger vision than a railroad career. America was growing faster than any nation in history, and everything being built was temporary. The permanent solutions would make someone incredibly rich. Carnegie began investing his railroad salary in various businesses: oil wells, sleeping car companies, ironworks. But everything changed in 1865 when he visited England and witnessed the Bessemer process, a revolutionary method that turned iron into steel at unprecedented speed and scale. Most visitors saw an interesting industrial curiosity. Carnegie saw a trillion-dollar opportunity waiting to explode. He immediately understood that this process could transform American industry. The man who brought this technology to America and perfected it would become the richest person in the world. Carnegie returned to America and built his first steel plant near Pittsburgh in 1873. His philosophy was simple but revolutionary: Put all your eggs in one basket, then watch that basket carefully. While competitors spread their investments across multiple industries, Carnegie bet everything on steel. The Carnegie Steel Company became a machine of efficiency and innovation. He paid the highest wages in the industry, but demanded the highest productivity. His workers didn't just make steel. They made the materials that built America's greatest achievements. Carnegie created a culture where innovation was rewarded and mediocrity was eliminated. But Carnegie's real genius wasn't just manufacturing. It was understanding that controlling costs meant controlling everything. While competitors bought raw materials at market prices, Carnegie bought the sources themselves. He acquired iron ore mines in Minnesota, coal fields in Pennsylvania, and transportation networks to move materials. The Brooklyn Bridge, the first skyscrapers, transcontinental railways, all made with Carnegie steel. By 1890, he controlled 25% of America's entire steel production. His company employed over 20,000 workers and generated profits that dwarfed entire government budgets. But this was just the beginning. Carnegie's vertical integration strategy meant that every dollar his competitors paid for materials went into Carnegie's pocket. When they bought iron ore, they bought it from Carnegie's mines. When they shipped materials, they used Carnegie's railroads. When they needed financing, they went to banks where Carnegie was a major investor. By 1900, Andrew Carnegie was earning over $23 million per year, equivalent to $700 million today. He was richer than John D. Rockefeller, richer than entire European nations. Money poured into his accounts faster than he could count it. He owned more wealth than most countries' entire economies. But Carnegie faced a problem that wealth couldn't solve. He was getting older, and managing a massive steel empire required enormous energy. At 66 years old, he began looking for a way to step back without destroying what he had built. The solution came from an unexpected source. J.P. Morgan, America's most powerful financier, approached Carnegie with an offer that shocked the financial world. $480 million for Carnegie Steel, the largest business transaction in human history. Carnegie accepted instantly, making him the richest person who had ever lived. Morgan created U.S. Steel from Carnegie's company, making it the first billion-dollar corporation in history. Carnegie walked away with more wealth than most countries' entire economies. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn that nobody saw coming. Carnegie had been planning this moment for decades. At age 33, long before he became super wealthy, Carnegie had written himself a secret letter. It said, "The man who dies rich dies disgraced." He promised to spend his later years giving away his entire fortune. Most people who knew about it thought it was just youthful idealism. They were wrong. Carnegie meant every single word. He had watched wealthy men die surrounded by money, but forgotten by history. He had seen rich families torn apart by inheritance battles. He understood that wealth could corrupt future generations if not handled carefully. Carnegie wanted to be remembered not for what he accumulated, but for what he gave away. He created the gospel of wealth, a philosophy that the rich have a moral obligation to use their wealth for humanity's benefit. Carnegie argued that wealthy individuals were merely trustees of their riches, responsible for using them to improve society. The man who had crushed competitors in business now dedicated himself to lifting up society. Carnegie began the most ambitious philanthropy campaign in history. His first priority was education, because he remembered being a poor Scottish boy who could only access knowledge through public resources. He decided to build libraries, lots of them. Not just a few libraries in major cities, but libraries everywhere. He built 2,509 libraries across America and around the world. Every small town, every growing city. Carnegie wanted to ensure that poor children like himself could access knowledge. Each library was designed to be beautiful, inspiring, and welcoming. Carnegie called them palaces for the people. He funded universities, built concert halls, created peace foundations, established scientific research centers, and supported art museums. He gave money to causes that would outlive him and continue benefiting humanity long after his death. Carnegie had a rule. He would investigate every major gift personally. He didn't just write checks. He visited sites, met with leaders, and ensured his money would be used effectively. By the time he died in 1919, He had given away 90% of his wealth, over $350 million. The Carnegie method still guides today's philanthropists. First, concentrate your resources on what you do best. Second, use wealth as a tool for progress, not just personal comfort. Third, give while you live so you can see the impact of your generosity. Fourth, create institutions that will continue your work after you're gone. Modern billionaires like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett follow Carnegie's exact playbook, earning enormous wealth through business innovation, then dedicating their lives to giving it away systematically and strategically. Carnegie proved that the highest achievement isn't dying rich, it's living meaningfully. Carnegie's legacy teaches us that true wealth isn't measured by what you accumulate, but by what you contribute. Every library built, every student educated, every scientific discovery funded. These create ripple effects that benefit humanity for generations. Carnegie understood that money is just a tool, and the most powerful way to use that tool is to empower others. Carnegie built with steel, but another man built something even more powerful, a media empire that shaped how the world thinks. William Randolph Hearst controlled more newspapers than anyone in history, and literally started wars with his headlines. Subscribe to see how the press king became more influential than presidents, and why his story inspired one of Hollywood's greatest films.